everybody stopped and asked, what's going on, what happened. If they didn't know what happened to the man, they wanted to know what happened to him. And they all had a story about him. They all had a story about, how nice he was to them, or sometimes he could be difficult a little bit occasionally, but for the most part, it's all positive. And I think he would be very happy to know that he was held in such high esteem. I'm Robert Masucci, and Gabriel Carunio was my uncle. He was my father's brother. They shared their mom, but they had two different fathers. And just seemed to be a driven guy. You know, he was either a photographer earning a living, or he was selling photography equipment. And he had a few partners along the way, business partners, I mean. And then he also had a few, life partners. He had a friend named Bobby, I remember when I was a kid. He was a Caribbean man who was very, very nice to me also. And I think they were deeply in love for a long time. And then later on in life, and he hung around with this lady named Harriet. And they stayed together and had a lot of good times from the pictures that we found. But he had 13 camera stores at one point. Some of them were in Great Eastern department stores. There was one in Flemington, New Jersey, one in Poughkeepsie, Sayville. Anyway, he had a pretty big empire going for a while there. And as the stores closed and competition got rougher and the whole scene changed, I guess, it consolidated everything into this particular store. And that's why we're here today, to empty the store out, unfortunately. A soldier's things, a photographer's things. It's always sad when you have to do these things. But he told me what he wanted, and we're trying to do what he wanted.
There's all these pictures here. You don't know what they're from, but he just found his grandmother.
I wish I had pictures that I can just find both family members.
Ugh. This we gotta hold on to, honey.
All right.
Uncle Gabe was our uncle, and he was an amazing man. We had lots of adventures with him, different outings, different parades that we went to, and I will dearly, dearly miss him. We would go through Central Park, and he would hold his camera down low and, just shoot pictures of kids. He loved taking pictures of kids. Candid photographs. And we had a lot of adventures with him. He had a routine. He got up every morning. He opened the store. Maybe there were only a handful of customers, if that, especially in the last couple of years. He made it his life, He always dyed his hair. He dyed his mustache. He never wanted anyone to know how old he was. He was like 80, at least 80, right? When we were out in the museum one time, and he would never tell anybody his age. But he looked like he was like 60. He looked pretty good. And he could walk and walk and walk and walk and never get tired. Rob and I would be exhausted and tagging along, But he was amazing. His stamina was just incredible for his age.
He felt, he gave him a purpose to open the store and to get out there every day. And he loved this community. I was very sad on Sunday nights when we would drop him off to go home. I always thought he was lonely, but it turned out he really had a very rich social life. I can't believe how many people were fond of him, and how many people said that he loved the community. I know that some of the people are being kind, that he could be difficult sometimes. He was very eccentric. He could say things that were inappropriate or embarrassing sometimes. But you took him with a grain of salt, and the good outweighed the bad for sure.
I've lived in this neighborhood for at least 45 years. I've known Mr. Gabe ever since. He was very serious when you looked at him, but he had a very big heart. He loved the community. He loved the neighborhood. And he would look out for anybody that he knew that lived around here for a period of time. He was Cotelli Road. He's one of the last of Cotelli Road people who are still here.
It's like one of these little shops that doesn't exist anymore. Like, this was the last one. And it was kind of cool to still have it in the neighborhood when I moved here. and you could kind of go in and look at stuff in yellow and plastic. So I kind of miss it, but it's nice that it was here. I mean, this neighborhood is like a great mix of everybody. So yeah, there's a lot of characters in this neighborhood. So it was nice to have a creative little spot, even though I never bought anything from here until now. But it's cool. I'm glad, and it's nice to see the turnout and it's like a nice mix of like normal folks and then camera geeks like myself, I guess.
I grew up around here for like 15 plus years. I've been coming inside, you know, with Gabe, and I actually found out that we went to the same high school. He went to LaSalle Academy back in, you know, 1960s, 70s, I don't really know. And I also went there. And I actually told him that there's a telescope that I wanted to buy when I'm older, and I actually bid for it and I got it. So I'm very, very excited, very happy, man. And it's sad, rest in peace, Gabe, man, we love you. We definitely miss you around the neighborhood, man.
Funny enough, when I used to work at another camera store, I used to pass by the store every day because I used to ride on Cortellia from Flatbush to Ditmas Park. So I used to come by, I used to see it open, never came by, one day it's closed. I was like, oh shit, I missed my opportunity. I should have came by. Because I knew it was an old camera store, because I seen Minolta, which is not a brand anymore. So I knew it was old stuff. And recently someone hit me up and that's from this neighborhood, told me, hey, they're gonna plan to auction everything off. I was like, oh, they haven't got rid of everything yet? It's been 3 years. So he told me this morning at 7 o'clock, I woke up, came right here, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was just prepared because I had a lot of cash on me just for this special occasion, just for things like this. And I was just ready to buy anything. I did buy a lot of stuff today because it's gonna go right back to my shop and be sold. At least it'll be used and not to be sitting like this, you know, not being used. So I'm glad that I'm able to put it back into people's hands that actually take pride in it. And a lot of this stuff I got for pretty cheap. It allows more access so people get into it cheaper.
July 19th, 2022, I cannot believe that this Elliott Melman company has come in here and created this buzz. Do you see what's going on inside this building? Everybody, from my relatives to the lawyers to the guy who's buying the building, they all said, just throw it all away. And I couldn't do that, so here we are. I mean, it's a man's life in there. And I'm glad now that people are expressing interest in the photographs that he took. And we're gonna see if we can work something out where we can give these photographs to people. The more hands and eyeballs on them, the better, so that we can look through them and find all these little gems that we've been finding. Just earlier, I don't know if you were there, I found some pictures of my grandmother when she was like 17 years old. And then another picture of two people I didn't even recognize, but it turns out they're my great-grandparents. The more I stand out here and I meet all these nice people, the more I wish I could join them here. But there's no way that my wife and I could do that now, and that's a little heartbreaking. Yeah, my uncle's family was bigger than we realized. He didn't talk about an entire segment of his family. We didn't even know they existed, and they do. And you know, we had to do our due diligence to try and find anybody who he might be related to. We did, and now they'll share in his estate.
108 accessories from here